Okay, I don't know how to intro the podcast. I never know how to intro the podcast, but I've figured out that is the best way to intro the podcast because it makes everything feel more real and everyone feel like we're all grounded, which is very exciting. But the other exciting thing is we've got a guest in today. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell them why you love North and why you're here?
So I'm Dylan. I've been a North Nuffy since the day I was born. My mum got us into North Melbourne by...
So it's her fault.
It's her fault for this
You can't blame
horrible
mum
life that I live. She had a crush on John Longmire.
Who didn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Big horse.
So, just been a North Nuffy ever since and been struggling since whatever it's been, 2016 or...
We've got to keep the mood high early on. We can't go in the doldrums.
We'll stay positive.
Just yet. But you're basically here because my knowledge on players is awful, as I've been called out for a few times by the listeners.
Yeah.
Saying my lack of knowledge on other players, so you shouldn't listen to the podcast. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to be able to learn all the players, so I've recruited you, who's got that Nuffy brain, to help me basically understand that there are other players in the league besides North Melbourne players.
Yeah, and it's quite sad in a lot of ways that I'm better at this than my job. But yeah, like...
Well, look, if the podcast kicks off enough, maybe we'll be on Joe Rogan dollars. And, I'll flick you a bit of coin.
Yeah, hopefully. Let's pray.
We can only hope.
I'll upgrade my North membership.
Yes. Yeah, good. I've actually never been a North member before, to be honest with you.
No way.
No, I haven't. Well, I lived in Tassie for so long. It didn't really do anything for me.
Right.
And since I've moved up here, they've been a bit average. And I'm like, do I want to spend the money on that right now? But I kind of want to. Because now I'm thinking Clarkson's here to take us to the granny, so I should probably get on that and get that like prime platinum membership or whatever they'd be.
Yeah, well, finals isn't out of the question next year. I would have thought.
I like the optimism.
We're back on the positive.
Oh, God. All right, so basically what we're going to do today is we're going to go through what positions we need to fill in the team, some players we've been linked to, and some of your suggestions of players that we might be able to target. You know, some of them realistic, some of them maybe hopeful, but it doesn't matter. We're just looking at other players in the sort of molds that we need.
Yep.
So kicking it off, what positions, and I've written a few down here, but off the top of your head, what positions for the club do we need to fill the most? If you had to rank them, give me your number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it needs to go to. What positions are the most crucial that we need to fill?
Well, you know, assuming Mackay gets to where he wants to go.
We'll assume Mackay's gone.
We clearly need a key defender, big key defender. Aiden Core and Cal Dawson are a little bit undersized.
Yes.
So we need a big, strong key defender, like even a mature key defender, really.
Yes.
Not a young guy that we plan to develop, a ready-made AFL standard key defender.
Do you think, is that the number 1 position for you that you'd need to recruit, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it would be.
Number 1, yep.
And we clearly need a strike partner for
Larky up there.
Larky, but I've got a feeling that they're going to move Charlie Comben down back.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot about Charlie Comben going down back. And I don't mind it. It's very Robbie Tarrant-esque. I think Darcy Moore was also drafted as a defender.
Darcy Moore was a forward.
And became defender.
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot about that too. I don't want to take it as gospel, obviously, but I think key defense is crucial, absolutely crucial. For me, I said this on a previous podcast, is I think the ruck position for me is more crucial than defense. I think I would rather trust... I never thought I'd say I'd trust Aiden Core more than somebody, but this is how dire it is. I'd rather trust, this feels awful, I can't even say it. I'd rather trust Aiden Core and Cal Dawson and a recovering Griffin Logue than I probably would Jerry and Hamish Free because we're going to be losing Goldie.
Right.
I know that's a crazy opinion, but I think Jerry is so average for lack of a better word, that I think I'd rather trust Cal Dawson and Core to do some sort of defensive work more than I would Jerry as a ruckman.
Right. Yeah. Cherry's an interesting one, like, because I thought he'd become our number one, and clearly the club rates him very highly, but I don't. As the season went on, I know he was injured throughout the season, but
Do you think next season what do you think of him next season? Because I don't want to go on about Jerry again. And I know people don't want to listen to me continuously go on about him and Aiden Core. So that's not what we're going to be about today. But what do you think next year from Jerry? Would you be happy if we went in with him as our number one, or do you think someone else needs to be there?
yeah, so I do have thoughts on this. I think Jerry is a bit undersized for what he tries to do. He's a crash and bash ruckman. He's not skillful. He's not a skillful ruckman.
Absolutely not.
So my opinion is that CCJ is a ruckman, not a forward.
Interesting. Okay.
So I wouldn't mind seeing CCJ as our number one ruck and not Cherry. And then we just bring in a key forward.
Okay. What gives you the confidence in CCJ? I'm a CCJ guy. I like what he did.
I'm so not a CCJ.
Really?
I think I'm more of a Jerry guy than
interesting.
CCJ.
Spicy podcast.
Yeah.
This is what the viewers want.
Yeah, this is what they want. But yeah, no, I see CCJ more of a ruckman than a key forward. I don't think he's mobile enough to play key forward.
He did all right in that key forward role for those. Like when he came
was
in.
Okay, yeah. I thought he tailed off quite a lot.
Absolutely.
And that's fine. Like, people go through ebbs and flows throughout the season in their form. But yeah, so I see him more as a ruckman, not a forward.
Is that because of his lack of, in your opinion, lack of forward ability, or because of you didn't think he was that bad in the ruck?
I don't think he's bad in the ruck. And I think his follow-up work is okay. I don't think he has, like, as soon as the ball hits the ground, we completely lose.
Yes.
Any ability to lock the ball.
I was going to say, if there's a
line.
ground ball get and you had Jerry or CCJ picking it up, who would you bet on?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Once again, let's keep it positive, because that's a dark hole to go down.
And I honestly, I find it, because I love all the players as well. Even though I don't rate some of them, I still love them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just because I'm not the biggest fan of Core and Jerry doesn't mean I don't like them. Like, if they're all Australian,
like,
next
I want
year,
them to do
love
well.
them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
But yeah, so that's how I see it. I see CCJ going into a more of a ruck role.
Do you think they do that though?
I don't know.
Yeah. Conundrums.
Yeah, and I thought Charlie Comben, when he pinched hit in the ruck, was great too.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't want him to get injured.
No.
Like, we got to wrap him in cotton wool.
But that's the thing. Like, this is kind of why I kind of want him to go back, is because we've had injury-prone forwards and things like that before.
Yeah.
And when they go back, it maybe doesn't seem quite as taxing on your body.
I agree. I agree 100%.
I don't have heaps of logic behind that, but just the track record, how many times we've seen defenders go forward and be successful compared to forwards go back.
Yep.
So, interesting. Okay, key defence, ruckman, any other positions you think we should recruit?
I think we need a wing partner for Bailey Scott. And I think, obviously, we've been heavily linked to Dylan Stevens, but which
requested the trade to North.
Yeah, which we can talk about later. But we need some class. I feel like we just need someone.
We need someone who can get
class.
the ball off the back line and distribute it to our forward line.
Yeah, and I think Bergman, Goda on either flank is great. I love those two. I love Josh Goda because he can play taller than he seems. He's got a really good vertical leap. I love.
Jury's out on Josh Goda for me. I like him.
Wow.
I like him. I think he's got potential, but I'm not sold on Josh Goda yet. I think his round 23 performance was great, and he's had really good flashes. And I think I'm not out on Josh Goda at all, but I'd be giving him game time.
Yeah.
But I'm not sort of sold.
No, I'm huge on him.
Yeah. I'm huge on his potential.
I know you're a Bergman guy, but
I love Bergman, and it's a travesty to this nation that he didn't get game time in that back half of the year. But I gave an example with Charlie Lazaro. As in, I've never seen a game from Charlie Lazaro to make me go, that's what he can do, until the last round of last season.
How good was he?
Fantastic. And Goda's shown me those glimpses. But you've got other players like a Flynn Perez or a Jerry or someone like that, Marnie.
They were all in the same draft, by the way.
Were they all the same draft?
I want to say they were all. It was all 2019.
Oh God!
I think that was Noble type areas. for us.
COVID was the second worst thing to happen around that time. They never had moments for me where I've gone, that's what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys have. So I'm sticking with Goda because I like him and I think he could be really good. He's shown me enough glimpses, but he probably has to be more consistent for me to be like, that's the guy that's going to be at our half-back line when we make the finals instead of having to recruit.
Yeah, that's fair. I think one position we don't need is a medium-sized forward.
We've got way too many
We've
of
got
those.
so many mediums.
And just midfielders in general.
Oh my God. Just, which is a weird one why we're being linked to Zach Fisher, who wants more midfield time.
That's an interesting one because I was going to ask you about that one, which we'll talk more about Zach Fisher soon. But, Zach Fisher either is that halfback or halfback wing or that forward pocket sort of player. And as far as I know from talking to like Carlton fans, he's been more successful off the halfback and the wing.
Which would make sense to me. So if you move Zach Fisher into a halfback role and have that distributor, because he's a great kick. He's a really nice kick, and maybe you play him in that kind of Aaron Hall type role. And then you move Sheasel out.
I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Moving Shees. But then, is Bergman, Goda, Zach Fisher, moving Shees? I guess someone's got to miss out, but I guess that's good because then there's competition for spots instead of having two really good half-backs and then being like, oh, one's injured for half the year, so now we've got Aidan Bonner to bring in off half-back.
Yeah, and they still haven't made a call on...
Unless that's the role to unleash him like never before.
They still haven't made a call on Bonner and Marnie. Kane Turner as well.
Turner. Well, mate, the people want Kane Turner in the team.
Do they?
Well, online they do.
Okay. Well, Bonner's another guy who started off as a forward. And
Did
a
he
midfielder.
start as a forward? I didn't know that.
Yeah. His debut, he was the first handful of games at GWS, he was a forward and midfielder, like inside mid. But then, I don't know what happened. We moved him down back and
good job.
The rest is history.
All right. Small forward, maybe another one for me as well. Just like that small Charlie Cameron type. I don't know if we're going to be able to get one as good as that, but obviously there's Nick Watson in the draft and stuff like that. But and we've been linked to, once again, we'll talk about soon, but Spargo and that sort of stuff as well. But I think, look on the weekend after the grand final with Bobby Hill, what a small forward can do. If you don't have, like McStay went down, Myercheck, I like Myercheck. I think he's good, but maybe not consistent enough. Collingwood had nothing else going forward other than Bobby Hill, it seemed like, other than goals from their midfield. So, we don't also have one of those. I'm not sure, like, why to me, why can't Paul Curtis play that role? Or why can't Jaden Stevenson do that? I'm not sure. Like, what's really is the difference between a small forward and a medium forward? Yeah. But, I guess they're maybe just not quick or agile enough, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many forwards.
Yeah, so
We've
many.
got Cooper Harvey, Eddie Ford, Paul Curtis, Cam Zerha, who's kind of like a hybrid key forward almost.
I'd like to see him in the midfield more, but once again, that just means more midfielders.
More mids.
Halfback Zerha.
Yeah.
Key defending Zerha.
Who knows, yeah.
Unreal.
Jaden Stevenson. I mean, we have so many.
Yeah.
And
Robert Hansen
Jr. Braden
George, yeah. And once again, all reports the dude's going to be a star.
How exciting is it going to be next year to see Braden George going around? Yeah. Big Sausage, they call him.
Big Sausage.
Yeah.
Wowee. His fly must have been down at training sometimes.
But yeah, I'm super excited about that. And I'm sure as it usually goes, you kind of start.
Curtis Taylor as well.
Curtis Taylor, yeah. But as it usually goes, you kind of start as a small forward or a half-back, and then they'll move you into a midfield role. So I could see a Paul Curtis or Braden George rolling through the midfield.
Yeah, Paul Curtis is an awful kick though, and that's the one thing I would say about him is the amount of times I've seen him wheel around and try and hit someone on the left, and it's the old worm burner along the ground. He
does try to kick it very hard. I will say this, I think that him and Larkey are starting to form a really good relationship. I've seen him turn blindly completely on his left foot, knowing Larkey's going to lead at him, particularly in that last game against Gold Coast.
I think Paul Curtis is good at leading up the ground too, because he's a slightly bigger body and can take a good mark.
I'll say this about Paul Curtis as well. They reckon he's the strongest guy at the club in bench.
I've heard that too.
They reckon he benches like 150, and
150.
he was in a one-on-one contest with Harry Himmelberg
Yeah.
from the GWS down in Tassie, and he's completely outmuscled
Just
Harry
mastered him.
Himmelberg, who's a key defender.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
And I just think Paul Curtis could be anything.
Okay.
Yeah,
But look,
I'm so
his
excited by
ceiling
him.
is high, but
He's
his
so
floor
high.
is low. I think that's the thing with Paul Curtis is like, you know, we've seen maybe the first half of his season was very lackluster.
It was,
But then
yeah.
the second half, he really showed what he can do. So I think he's such a crucial domino to fall, because if he can hit his potential, he could be a star.
And robbed of goal of the year too.
I agree. That Ashcroft one, Daniel Wells already did that. It's been done. But when's the last time you saw someone on the ground pick the ball up, then get off the ground, shrug two blokes and kick it on his non-preferred from the boundary?
Oh, it was incredible. But yeah, so right. I was at that game as well, and
Yeah.
it was probably the moment of the
That was the
season.
Sydney game, wasn't it? How'd you feel at the end of that one?
We honestly
'Cause
had
you wouldn't have known what was going
we had
on.
no idea what was going on
Yeah.
until I just kept scrolling on Twitter until someone finally put up that. But it was also the second coming of Jesus Christ called George Wardlaw
Yes.
as well. That game.
Yes,
So,
he's my Lord and Saviour. Absolutely. All right, let's get into some players that we have been linked to. Mm-hmm. So I'll read out some names here, and then we can look at some stats and just have a chat about them. So probably the two most obvious ones. Let's chat about Zach Fisher. So reports coming through today that this week he'll request a trade to North Melbourne. Excited by the project, which I'm sure everybody will say just for media, and he wants more midfield time. So
Yeah.
give me your thoughts initially on Zach Fisher, because looking at his stats here, elite in disposals, 20.8, elite in kicks, 11.3 a game. Everything else, when you look at marks inside 50 goals, that sort of stuff, not fantastic, but he wasn't playing at that end of the ground. So it's more about his clean disposal, kicking, and his distribution.
I do think that he is someone we lack, someone who is super clean with their kicking and is just quite silky in general. I just don't know where they plan to play him.
Well, that was going to be my next question. If you were going to pick, where would you play him? Would you go halfback, wing/midfield, or forward pocket?
I'd probably play him in a forward pocket
Okay.
because we don't, like you said before, we don't have that actual genuine small forward
Do you
at the
reckon
moment.
he's that like genuine, small, agile forward?
Yeah, so that's what he played. I think he's played over 100 games, I think, at Carlton. And I would say 90% of those games he played it in that forward pocket role.
Because they only recently moved him
Yeah, it was this year.
season, wasn't it? Yeah.
So that's where I do see him. However, I've seen him roll through the midfield and he's quite handy there. He's just quite slight of frame, which could be an issue getting bumped around in the midfield and also down back. Like if they isolate Zach Fisher in a one-on-one,
Yeah, he might get...
it's no bueno for North Melbourne. He's also best mates with Griffin Logue, I think. So
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
So I think there's a bit of a connection there. I don't believe we'll have to give up much to get him.
Okay.
So, like it'll be a third round pick, I think.
Okay.
Like a future third round or something like that.
'Cause
So
we've got a third round this year, I think.
good question. I should know this.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You can have a look, but I'm pretty sure I looked at
I don't think
what
we have a
picks we've
second
got.
round. We've got pick 40 at the moment as it
Yeah,
stands.
that's third
So
round, isn't it?
That's a third round pick.
Yeah, so chuck and pick 40. We'll take Fisher off your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wham
For
bam.
pick 40 for sure. We've had some good picks in that third round though. I want to say
Yeah,
Eddie
but we're
Ford
probably
was
not
a-
going to get a player better than Zach Fisher
Yeah,
at that price.
probably not.
I guess it's the four-year deal and stuff like that. Which I don't think we're in a position to complain too much about this. I know it's very easy to be like, Polek vibes and things like that, but Polek wasn't a bad deal at the time. It just turned out to be bad because of his injury record, in my opinion. Like, I know we offered him a lot of money, but I think if you're going to get he was only a couple of years removed from an All-Australian team, wasn't he, when we got
Yeah.
him? So, a club like North, I mean, everyone's going to have to pay overs for good players. I just don't think it was that bad of a deal at the time. I'm not saying it was amazing, but looking back, I think people go, oh, why did we even do that? Well, you're only saying that because of him never getting on the park, but
Yeah.
I don't know. But your face looked like you disagreed with that.
I think you could look back at a lot of deals in retrospect and go,
Yeah.
this was a bad deal.
Because I'm trying to remember what everyone thought at the time, and I didn't see that much negativity around Polek. Maybe the money, but I talked to Marnie a few days ago on the podcast, and I said, you know, because she said that Ben Mackay is going to get overpaid, and I'm like, well, key defender, 25, 200 centimeters, about to go into their prime. You can't not overpay in quotation marks for a player like that. The salaries keep going up, the salary caps keep going up. That in 2-3 years' time, Mackay might look like a fantastic deal. And I'm kind of on the same page as that. Like Zach Fisher's got experience, class, maybe hasn't hit the heights, but we're also not the type of club to get players at that height as well.
Yeah. And I think, that wasn't a great trade period looking back with.
Well, there's a lot back then that didn't go too well.
I think we just finished paying Polek this year. I think we paid him this year.
Who else are we paying though? Like,
Yeah, I know.
I know it's not good. We don't want to do that going forward, but yes or no to Zach Fisher then? What do you think?
Yeah. Look, I think he fills a need, and if you look at who we've delisted, like Flynn Perez, Lockie Young,
Phoenix Spicer.
and who was the other? Oh, Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
That never got a game.
Jacob Edwards.
Let's not talk about taking Jacob Edwards over John Newcomb.
We could re-rookie him.
We could. We've got 2 extra rookie spots actually now.
That key forward partner for luck.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's a great pickup. It fills a need. If you look at our delistings, I think we are like guys like Lockie Young. You do need depth, guys like that, and the fact that we're delisting a guy like that.
Do you think it suggests we're gonna get that done?
Yeah. I think it suggests that we're holding higher standards at the club now.
Okay.
Like if guys like that are getting delisted, I think we're going to be okay. So I like Zach Fisher. I know he's really close with Griffin Logue, so I'm sure there would have been some chatter between those two for sure.
Agent Griff.
Yeah.
Agent Griff. All right. Yes from me as well. I would take Zach Fisher. I'm trying to be as realistic as possible about where the club is at, and I don't think at this point we can say no to getting 25-year-old players about to go into their primes with potential and class. You know, I don't think we're in a position to knock back people like that. So,
and it's just he can't get a spot in that Carlton team at the moment. He's just not
which
in
is
there.
A good team. As much as I don't like to admit it, they're a good team.
They made a prelim, so I think it's good for us. Yep.
Dylan Stevens, the other obvious one before we get into some lesser known ones.
Yep.
Looking at it, he picked 5 a few years ago?
Yeah. I think he's from Mildura, but he played for South Australia. But he's seen as a Victorian, I think. I believe he's played about 40-something games for Swans, and he's a specialist wingman.
Okay.
He's a left footer. We all know Clarko likes left footers.
I was going to say, why do you think Clarkson's targeting him or wants him?
Yeah, he loves it. He loves a left footer.
He does, doesn't he?
Again, he just adds some class to a North Melbourne team that severely lacks
class. Yeah,
lacks class and kicking ability. He did play in last year's grand final for Sydney. Like he was in their grand final team.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, and he played. He had quite a good final series too. But he's just been frozen out of that team by guys like Errol Goulden.
I was going to say him coming on.
Chad Warner, and they've got Ollie Florent
22 as well. Yeah, so a good age,
great age, and a perfect opposite side wingman for Bailey Scott.
Yep.
So, I think it's a great pickup. I don't know what we'll have to give up for someone like that. Maybe a future second round pick, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's time to start getting rid of some of these picks as well. Maybe not this year's and whatever. Obviously, there's the ones next year that we got in the assistance package, but I probably want to try and trade up for Riley Sanders, I think. I did make a mistake on my last podcast thinking that we could get Riley Sanders with points from trading the picks, but I've learned since then that that's not the case, so apologies for that. But we can trade those picks. The rumour is to Gold Coast, maybe get pick 4 and be able to draft Riley Sanders then. Which if North end up getting 2, 3, and 4, not that this is a draft episode, but if we end up getting something like that, that'd be pretty crazy. So look, I'm not getting too optimistic about that. I think that's pretty far-fetched. I don't know if clubs would let us do that, but I also know that the clubs would want the picks as well. So
Yeah.
we'll wait and see on that.
And just on that assistance package, the 2 first rounders we get next year are to be reviewed.
Yeah. If we're too good, they can adjust them.
But we can trade them now. So
Yeah.
we're obviously going to trade them this year and either for a player or I believe they're going to try to get another pick in that top 10.
Yeah.
So we have 3 first rounders.
Any stats in particular about Dylan Stevens sort of concern you? I'm just looking at him here. 13.5 disposals a game, below average. Contested possessions, below average. Kicks, below average. Clearances, score involvements. It's all sort of average or below. Do you think that's just lack of opportunity or maybe not fitting the system as much as maybe doesn't suggest his talent might not be as high as we are hoping?
Yeah, it could be a continuity thing. I mean, that wing role isn't an overly contested role. It's not like he's at the coalface like a Will
You're not
Phillips
in the guts all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a continuity thing, lack of opportunities, but I truly believe that he's just been frozen out by better players.
I mean, pick 5, 22 years old, wants to come to the club. You'd be, with the club in the position it is, you'd be crazy to say no to someone like that.
Yeah, and I think it says a lot about the club's direction.
Yeah.
As well, the fact that young, talented guys want to come to our club. So, and sometimes what's best for these guys is just a fresh
start.
Fresh start. So, yeah,
cool. All right. I think yes. So yes for both of us for
Big
Stevens.
yes.
Yes,
Yep.
I would take him. Yeah. Hunter Clark reliving last year's rumours.
Yeah.
I don't know. This one doesn't excite me too much. I feel like the Hunter
neither.
Clark ship has sailed.
Yep.
Mainly because Goda, Bergman, if you get Stevens, Fisher, all these guys, I don't know where he would fit anyway. And I'd probably rather any of those two than Hunter Clark, but I don't know why exactly. Maybe just because they're younger. Well, Zach Fisher's not. I think out of Hunter Clark, Zach Fisher and Dylan Stevens, I'd say Fisher's probably the best proven player
Yeah, I'd say so.
far.
Yeah.
And if you're giving me Stevens or Hunter Clark, probably give me Stevens. I don't know why. I think I'm just going off potential. I feel like Hunter Clark might have hit his ceiling.
Yeah, Hunter Clark's an interesting one. I think he was a first-round pick as well. But he couldn't get a game at St Kilda last year and asked for a trade to us quite late on in the trade period, and then Saints wanted a first-round pick for him, which was never going to happen. I don't personally rate Hunter Clark. I think that he is a bit slow.
Yeah.
I don't think his disposal's that good. He's able to rack up the ball, but I'm not a massive fan of him in general.
I haven't heard many Saints fans rave about him too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's always a good indicator. I've asked a lot of Carlton fans about Zach Fisher as an example, and a lot of them, most of them are like, oh, I don't really want to lose him. But, you know, I haven't heard much on Hunter Clark from Saints fans. So,
yeah, to me, when I think about Hunter Clark, he's a bit one-paced and slow. He just doesn't have that burst, and his disposal isn't, in my opinion, that amazing. So yeah, it would be a no from me on getting someone like a Hunter Clark. And plus, again, our midfield is stacked at the moment.
Yeah.
Particularly if it's healthy. So
is he more of a midfielder or a halfback?
He plays both.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He'll go both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably a no for Hunter Clark for me. I think the other two guys, more potential and already better. So
Agreed.
Charlie Spargo from the Demons. This one has sort of popped up. I don't know how much there is to it, but we've been linked. He's not getting the opportunities at the Ds. Small forward. I mean, his goal accuracy 61% elite. He didn't even average a goal a game though, but I know he didn't get the opportunities. And as we've seen from the final series, the Ds forward line isn't the most functional. Cozzy Pickett, obviously, keeping him out probably. What are your thoughts on Spargo?
Yeah, so I hadn't heard that rumor about Spargo,
Okay.
so that's why I thought bring it up on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. I think he's a great player. I really do, and I'd take him in a heartbeat in our forward line. I don't think the Demons would let him go. He's a very handy player. I thought he had a really, really good final series as well for Melbourne. But yeah, I'd take him for sure, but I don't think
it's much of a chance.
I don't think it's a chance happening, and I'm not sure it's a priority as well, because he's a player that can only play that one position. In
I don't mind that in players though.
Yeah,
I feel like we get caught up sometimes.
I don't mind that. Yeah,
in different sports as well. Like I watch a lot of Premier League and Chelsea as an example. I don't know. Do you watch much Premier League?
I watch a little bit. Yeah.
What team do you follow?
I kind of like Aston Villa just because of their colours, and they're doing pretty well at the moment.
I can accept Aston Villa as long as it's not Tottenham. With Chelsea, last year and this year, they've been so bad, but they've recruited a lot of players that play multiple positions. But you can be a jack of all trades and master of none, as the saying goes. Yep. And sometimes, if we just get all utilities, is a utility as effective as a proper key defender or a key forward? Like,
it's a good debate, yeah.
You know what I mean? And we've already got a lot of players that can be a utility. If Comben's going to go back, Zerha, Braden George with that bigger body, we've got players who can be utilities. I think Simpkin can play multiple roles. Eddie Ford obviously can play sort of that wing or in the forward line. Sometimes I think just getting a forward pocket who is a forward pocket would be really good. Like Lindsay Thomas was a forward pocket.
Yeah.
And the dude couldn't do anything else, but he could do that fantastically well.
That's
and
true.
Sometimes, you're not going to play Bobby Hill in the midfield, are you?
No.
And look what he can do. Cosy Pickett, I guess he did get a little bit of midfield time in some patches and he was okay, but he's a forward, right? So, yeah, look, I kind of agree with you. The Spargo thing I've heard be linked or talked about.
Interesting.
But I don't think there's much to it.
I would definitely take him though.
Yeah,
absolutely. He's a really handy player.
Yeah. If Fisher's gonna, if it was between Fisher and Spargo though, because if they're going to play those two forward pocket roles, I don't know. I feel like Fisher wants to come, and I think that's important for us right now.
Yeah.
Fisher's got much better averages and things like that. But
and obviously the club likes Robert Hansen Jr. too.
Yeah.
He's got another year to go on his contract, so we'll see what happens.
I think if he can't break into the side next year, it might be a delisting, unfortunately. I think he's got talent, obviously, but I don't know. I don't know if he showed too much in the games he had. It's a very small sample size, and I don't want to write him off at all, but it feels like he might be the last of the players drafting from the old regime, when now we're going to look to get in actually established players like Fishers and Stevens and stuff like that. And maybe he won't make it into the side. But hey, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he turns into an electric small forward, because there were little glimpses, but there's not much polish.
I thought there were more glimpses from him than Spicer.
Absolutely. I agree.
He's a lot taller and stronger than Spicer too, which I think helps. But interesting. Very interesting.
Mabior Chol. Did I say his first name correctly? Mabior. Yep. Mabior Chol. Key forward, 200 centimetres. Apparently can play in the ruck a bit as well.
Yeah, he pinch hits in the ruck. Yep.
Averages and things aren't fantastic. Averaged 1.3 goals a game. But I think, the Gold Coast didn't really have... they've got a lot of key forwards coming in, and obviously not the focal point. Not that he's going to be the focal point if he comes to us. 26 years old as well, 100 kilos. I have a gut feeling that I want him, and I don't know why, because the stats don't suggest so. But something, I don't know if I'm getting, Majak Dor vibes of just this Sudanese background, like athletic machine. Hopefully he's taking clunks and that sort of stuff. Majak Dor, even though his time was limited, it was one of my favourite players.
Yeah, he's great
in
to
a
watch.
North jumper.
Yeah. Yep.
And every time he played, I watched just to see how well he played, or poorly. But, that year he played in the back line, I reckon he was near one of the better defenders in the league. With Chol, I don't really know if that's his type. I'm assuming he is quite athletic and strong, but maybe hasn't done it yet at AFL level.
Yeah, so... Chol started off. He started off at Richmond as a key forward.
That's right. He did too
under Dimmer, and then got traded, which is funny because Dimmer's the coach of Gold Coast now, and he might get traded out again. Gold Coast have two big keys coming in this draft
Yeah.
in Walter and
Plus
Reed.
King on the list.
Yeah,
And
so-
Casbolt.
Casbolt's still there, and we'll touch on some more keys later on that they have. But with Chol, he kicked 40 something goals last year in the AFL, and then just fell out of favour this year. I think he played 10 games.
10 games and kicked 40.
Oh no, last year.
Oh, last year.
Last year he kicked 44. He only played about 10 games this year.
Okay. So he can clearly do it then.
He can
44
do it.
goals in a season.
He can do it.
Yeah.
The way he gets them, he gets goals a lot by getting out the back.
Okay.
Which
Because we really need someone like a McStay type, honestly,
100%.
just to be able to sit in the square and take a clunk.
100%.
Do you think he could be that guy? He's got the frame to do it, but
he does, but I wouldn't say he's the best competitor. Like he doesn't grit his teeth and like a Charlie Comben does.
yeah. If Charlie Comben was 200 centimeters and 100 kilos, though, that's the ideal player.
Correct.
And I'm always thinking here, I know Charles is very raw. Clearly he's got a lot of talent, but he's very raw. Can he come under the wing of a Clarkson
Correct, yeah.
and just turn him into literally just
For
play his
sure.
role, the old additive, play your
Yep.
role.
Yep.
That McStay role would be perfect. While Larky's leading all over the place and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Kicking goals from everywhere. Can Chol just be that centerpiece, the bailout option when we do get tired? Because we are still young. We do need to kick the ball long. At least he'll bring the ball to ground, I hope. So, look, I don't have much basis. I'm not basing this off much, but he's just the exact type of player that I would love if he was like a level or so above. And I kind of get this gut feeling under Clarkson, maybe he can reach it. So I would take Chol, absolutely.
Yep.
But what do you think?
I'd take Chol. I think either way we need someone up there with Larky to
Absolutely.
kind of just take away another key defender and stop people, stop the other defenders kind of jumping off them to double team Larky. Chol could be that, and Clarkson could get the best out of him. And at the right price, I think I'd take Chol.
I don't think it'd be too much as well. Yeah.
I believe Brisbane have pulled out of the race for Chol.
Where's he going to play in Brisbane though? Like he's not playing over Hipwood, definitely not over Danaher.
No.
They've still got Gunston there, don't they? Or did
Gunston's
he
still there.
retire?
No, I think he's still there. But so it's between us, Adelaide, and Hawthorn, I believe.
I heard
now.
those, yeah, they're the ones.
So, yeah, look, I'd definitely take him. I believe I think it's 4-year deals on the table for Chol. So
I don't mind signing players up to a few years. I guess it's interesting being a sports fan of so many other codes. Like you'll barely get a player who's not washed in the NBA getting under 3-year deals and stuff. But the AFL is like 1-year deal, and then you got to renegotiate it again. And like get some players to be here with Clarkson the whole time. You know,
how old is he? Is he 27?
26.
26. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you've still got 5-6 years in your prime. And sports science these days, 30 isn't an age you decline at now.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, I know he's not Dangerfield levels, but a Paddy Dangerfield or something like that is clearly still very, very good. Maybe not the best year last year, but, 26, he's in his prime. He's got so much more to give. So I don't know. I like it and I believe in him, but I don't really know why. I'm going with my gut
I think
here.
I'll back you in here. But if I had the choice between Marby or Chol and Buku Kamas from the Western Bulldogs,
Well,
who
that's the next guy on the list.
we've also been linked to, I would take Buku Kamas.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Only 191 centimetres.
I love the way he competes. I actually went and watched him.
I haven't really seen this guy before too, so I'm going to go off
Yeah,
you
so
here.
my fiance is a Western Bulldogs fan, and so I watch a lot of Western Bulldogs games, and I love the way he plays. I think he's a great competitor. He's super athletic. He's a left footer too. So is Chol actually, but I watched him kick 4 against our VFL side this year down at Port Melbourne, and he just lit it on fire. And I go, this guy could be anything.
Do you know roughly how many games he played in the AFL this year? Did he get much opportunity?
Maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, but same thing at the Bulldogs. They've got Sam
Norton
Darcy.
and
They've got
Ugle-Hagan.
Norton, Ugle-Hagan. They've got Rory Lobb. They've got this
Stacked.
kid coming through the draft who's a father-son, Jordan Croft. They've got just oodles of key
Yeah, key
defenders
position
and
players.
key forwards because they've played Buku as a key defender as well. But this year he's played forward. I want to say he's kicked over 30 goals this year in the VFL.
Okay.
So he's had a very good season in the VFL. He's young.
Yeah,
So-
23.
I do like him. I believe Collingwood are pretty keen on him too. So we'll see with that one. But
Yeah.
look, you make a really good case for Chol as well.
Yeah,
So,
I just like the size of Chol.
He's
And
a big guy.
he's experienced as
Yeah.
well. He's got some AFL reps behind him. And 26 to 23, I mean, yeah, there's a bit of an age difference, but, I don't think that's that big of a gap. Chol's not 29 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I haven't seen anything of Buku though, honestly. So I'm really not too sure. My gut tells me Chol, but just because he's at 200 centimeters as well. I don't know. It's just a big guy we need. 191 is still quite tall, obviously. But if you were going to pick one, which one would you take?
That's a good question. Chol is highly skilled for his size. He's able to snap around the corner. He's able to finish really, really well. He's a much better finisher than Buku Kamas, but I don't know. I feel like I have to go for my boy Buku Kamas just because you're going for Chol.
All right,
I'll
all
go
right.
for Buku.
We'll fight this out later.
Because it was funny. I was talking to my fiance earlier this year, and I go, North should chase Buku. Why isn't he getting a game? And now we're linked to him. So I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right. Nick Haynes, 31-year-old defender, 192 centimetre.
Is he only 192?
192 centimetres, it says.
Okay.
And this is the sort of player for me that would be perfect.
Yeah, agreed.
Also, as in, if we draft Daniel Curtin and get an experienced defender like this, that's my ultimate combination.
That would be good.
In the defence next year. The only thing that worries me about him is the height. We have, and I don't want him to be another Aiden Core, and not as in he's not going to be good, but I think we've got enough slightly undersized key defenders at our disposal, especially with how Core played. Do I expect Aiden Core to play like that next year? Not really, no. Will he? Maybe. I hope he does. But if say he does, then what's the point of getting Nick Haynes? Like, he's not going to... Would you put, in your opinion, Nick Haynes on a Tom Hawkins, on a McStay, on a big guy? Is that the...
No, you'd probably, with what we've got at the moment, you'd have to play probably a Callan Dawson on a...
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Because Nick Haynes...
Because Dawson's not that tall anyway. He's about the same. He's like 191, 192, I think, like early 190s.
Something like that.
We don't really have that Mackay-sized big key.
That's why I think...
we should trade for Harris Andrews.
Yeah, I know. That's why I do think, they will look at Comben going down back.
But Comben's sort of the same size too. I don't think Comben's that big. Chat about Nick Haynes. I'll get Combens.
You do the Comben stats.
Give everyone the scouting report on Nick Haynes, and I'll look at Comben.
Nick Haynes is an intercept defender. He's someone that doesn't play on your big key forward. He kind of plays on the third tallest forward and will intercept.
Sorry to interject here really quickly. It says Charlie Comben's 199 centimetres.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Is he that tall?
Yeah, he's massive.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was that tall at all.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
All right. Sorry, go on about Nick Haynes.
So Nick
2.3 intercept marks a game for Nick Haynes as well.
He's a great interceptor.
2.1 above average one-on-ones. Intercept possessions 5.5, which is above average too.
Yeah, and he was the best intercept defender in the game at one point. I want to say he made an All-Australian team.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. I'm just completely
on
that.
Fine.
But great player. Was a great player. We haven't seen much of him this year, mainly because of the rise of Sam Taylor and Jack Buckley and Connor Iden. But this move for GWS is a salary dump move.
Do you know what sort of money he's on?
He's owed between 1 and 1.2 million.
For 1 year?
I think so, yeah.
For 1 year?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's a back-ended contract. Yeah. So, it would be it might be a move where GWS pay a portion of that to ease their salary
Yeah.
cap. But
I guess it depends where our cap sits for like
Correct.
a 1 year.
Yeah.
A 1 year thing as well, and we get these
Yeah.
other players in.
yeah,
I mean, I'd be happy to take a guy like Nick Haynes.
I'd love Nick Haynes.
Yeah,
honestly.
if as long as he doesn't affect us getting a Fisher or Stevens or
Mm-hmm.
a Chol or someone like that. As long as it doesn't affect that, which I'm sure they'll be all over. Yeah, getting someone like him and then hopefully drafting a Curtin is my number
that's a
one
good one.
sort of defense solution.
I think, yeah, and my one worry is that it still doesn't solve our key position problem down back. Like you said,
but he's probably got a couple of
he's
years.
not quite big enough to play on that
Yeah.
big guy. So
But then there's the other thing, if Comben is going to go back,
Yeah.
now I've seen that he's that tall. I genuinely thought Comben was like 191, 192.
he's a big guy.
Yeah, big boy.
So yeah, we'll see.
Handsome guy as well. I got to meet him at the
Mate,
Hawthorn game. Yeah, handsome
he's
man.
kind of blowing up a little bit on social
Well, wait till
media
he
and
gets
stuff.
his Guernsey ripped off, and then his Instagram
Oh, mate,
followers
he
go
will
through the
blow
roof.
up. Yeah, he's a bit of a rooster.
I'll be able to tell everyone I knew him before he got his shirt ripped off. I'm like a hipster Charlie Comben fan. We got to meet him in Bay 29 at the Hawthorn game, and we were talking about Need for Speed Most Wanted. So that was a fun interaction.
Seems like a good guy.
He's a good bloke. I love
good.
Charlie, yeah.
I love that. So yeah, I'd definitely take Nick Haynes.
Yeah, so
For
would
sure.
I. Here's another guy, Nick Caulfield.
Yeah.
Once again, an undersized defender, which doesn't thrill me with this one. Defender, 23 years old, 191 centimetres, 90 kilos. I'm assuming he didn't play any AFL games because he hasn't got any
Yeah,
real stats
he's
here.
had quite a lot of injuries.
Well, that's also another red flag.
Yeah.
I don't know. This one just doesn't. Doesn't do
I'm
it
not,
for me.
I'm not that interested. I believe he's going to re-sign anyway with Saints from what I've heard. But
Okay.
yeah,
Look
kind
at
of.
the Saints trying to bin their trash off to us.
Yeah, I know, right?
Come on, Saints.
Yeah, he's in that mold where he gets injured a lot, but when he does play, he plays quite well.
Yeah.
He's a halfbacker, decent kick, quite brave as well. But
Is he that intercept sort of type as well because of his
not really.
lack of size?
More,
Or they try
more
to
of a
play him?
distributor.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't need those guys though, because
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what I
not-
think Aiden Core is. Like
Yeah.
the one bit of praise I'll give Aiden Core is he can
Pretty
kick,
good kick.
pretty well. And Callan Dawson is the same. When Callan Dawson played the previous season after he got drafted mid-season, his best plays were running off half back, kicking it to somebody.
Yeah.
I'm like, stay down there, mate.
Yeah,
like
I know.
you're
I
a
know.
key defender. Why do we only have key defenders that can run off half back and our half backers don't seem to be able to run anywhere? Like I'm confused. Maybe we
Yeah.
play Sheasel as our full back.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think a guy like Caulfield would just take game time anyway off
Yeah.
a Bergman or a Goda. So for me, it's a no.
So he's definitely more of like a bigger sort of half-back distributor than he is a key defender.
No, he's not a key.
Yeah, okay, not a key, yeah.
No.
191, yeah, you're sort of stuck between being big and small, aren't you?
Yeah, you are, yeah.
Okay, it's a no from both of us. Tim O'Brien from
Tim
the Western
O'Brien?
from the Western Bulldogs.
We're linked to him?
From the Western, look, very loosely,
Right.
but I've heard a couple of words.
Mm-hmm.
Delisted.
Yeah, he
By
was
the
delisted,
Hawks.
yeah.
Clarkson's was there when he was there. Oh, was he?
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he might
would
have been.
yeah.
Key defender, 29, 193 centimetres, 92 kilos. Interesting fact, we cut Tim O'Brien's hair at the barbershop, actually.
Okay.
So maybe I should ask him when he
Yeah,
comes
why
in.
don't you
then.
just...
I'll do some recruiting myself.
Yeah.
Look, I think he, by all reports, this is mean, he's the Daniel Howe of key defenders.
Wow.
All I know is that Hawks fans don't rate him
Yep.
and don't really like it when he's in the side.
Because he was at the Bulldogs.
He's at the Bulldogs now, but
Yeah.
he was at the Hawks, then went to the Bulldogs
Yeah.
and then got delisted. So did I say he got delisted by the Hawks before? I did. He got delisted by the Bulldogs,
yeah.
and he was at the Hawks
He was at the Hawks.
previously. 11 disposals, 2.1 intercept marks. I mean, that's okay. 4.6 spoils. Below average in his one-on-one contests, only 1.1. One-on-ones, 1. That's a lot of ones. I don't know. I don't mind the size and the strength on him. It'd have to be like a last choice
Yeah.
sort of thing for me. I'm sure you could pick him up cheap.
Yeah.
maybe he could take someone like an Aidan Bonner's spot on the list.
Yeah.
That's not. I saw you.
I don't mind Bonner.
What?
I don't mind.
Come
Aidan
on,
Bonner.
mate. What is it? What's he done?
No,
What's he done for you to like Aidan Bonner?
Yeah, I don't see it with Tim O'Brien. I think his best is really, really good, but
It's not.
he's one of the most inconsistent players in the AFL. And he's very slight of frame. So
92 kilos.
yeah,
for a key position player.
Yeah, he's very athletic, but again, I just think he's a kind of a depth key defender.
I kind of,
from
and that's
the
what I mean by
VFL.
the sort of like a Daniel Howe of key
Yep.
defenders.
Yep.
Like Daniel Howe, realistically, isn't the shocking, disgusting player that we all think he is. I know he had a few bad moments, but he did a lot of pretty solid things as well. Like having Daniel Howe on the list to play in the VFL, and if we are in an injury crisis, play as a sub or something, I think is okay. And he to me, Tim O'Brien to me seems like that sort of player where. You know, if we got him for cheap and he was in our VFL squad, and to come in and like Bonner has come in the past, Callan Dawson, I guess, come in if Griffin Logue or someone gets injured, if we hopefully recruit some amazing key defenders.
Yep.
That's sort of where I would see him. I wouldn't completely say no, but it'd have to be a last ditch sort of like, we don't really have many more options here. We just need bodies of someone who's experienced. Yeah, that's sort of where I wouldn't not completely no, but it'd be a last resort.
I'm a flat
no.
Yeah. Sorry, Tim. I
Oh, look, he's an awesome bloke, and
he took Mark of the Year as well.
Did he take Mark of the Year?
I think so. Yeah.
Wow. Hey.
Yeah, he took a ridiculous.
He's got a good
mark
haircut too. Good head. Good head. Adam Tomlinson. Adam Tomlinson. This is the guy. To be honest with you, if I was going to pick Nick Haynes or this guy, I would probably pick Tomlinson.
So would I. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I thought you were going to go the other way on that.
So would I. Yeah. No, I like Adam Tomlinson. I think he. I think you know what you're going to get with Adam Tomlinson. He can
does
play.
what it says on the tin.
Yeah. He can play on that kind of bigger forward as well, which feels a need for us, which frees up an Aidan Core or Callan Dawson to kind of play that intercept role.
And they can run off and use their distributing as well. Yeah.
So
remember at the start of the season when Mackay was on an island, and you'd be like, why are you in the middle of the ground, mate, when Joe Danaher's sitting in the goal square back there? So maybe... Yeah, hopefully Tomlinson doesn't do that. But they obviously have said he's a required player for next year. It doesn't mean it'll happen. I mean, if he can kick down the door a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I would love Adam Tomlinson to come down and anchor that defence for a couple of years and once again, as long as there's a Daniel Curtin coming in or a mentoring a Charlie Comben or something like that.
Yep, totally. Yeah, no, I think that would be a perfect move. But like you said, I do believe D's have said he's a required player and he's in his exit meeting. So we'll have to see about that one. It doesn't mean he won't get traded, but
doesn't feel very likely.
Yeah, it doesn't feel likely, but he would have been a great asset for us for sure.
For sure. So I guess we'll say yes on Tomlinson, but unlikely. Scott Lysette. Port Adelaide, Ruckman, 31, 203 centimetres, 103 kegs. 4 clearances, I guess, 41% of hitouts won, which is concerning. Hitouts to advantage, 28.9%, is apparently average, but it feels very low. But knowing how desperate I am personally to get a Ruckman, I'll take anything at this point.
Yeah.
But give me the rundown.
Yeah, so I think he was a premiership player at the Eagles and then
That's right.
Requested a trade literally a couple of weeks after that to Port Adelaide. Yeah, I think his body's cooked, personally.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think he's too old and his body's pretty shot.
Okay.
I'd rather just have Todd Goldstein stay for another year.
We'd all rather have Todd Goldstein stay for another year.
Yeah, so...
Would you take him on a 1 year? If, say, we ended up not getting... Say, he was the only... We brought him in as a ruckman for 1 year and we couldn't get anyone else.
Yeah.
Because I would say yes to that. But that's mainly because of my concerns with our ruck stocks more than maybe his ability. But 31, he's not 35.
Yeah.
You know?
The mail I get, though, is that his body's pretty
Yeah.
pretty done. But look, if you can get another year out of his body, he's a very strong ruckman, and he's got so much experience. So
Just needs someone who could take a grab around the ground as well.
yeah, I don't know if he's going to be the guy to do that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a bit of, because earlier this year, Hamish Free wasn't that far away from getting a game.
Yeah, because this is the thing with Hamish Free. Like, I'm taking it as Hamish Free would never play for North Melbourne.
Yeah.
Not because I don't think he will get a game, but we haven't seen him. He's injured. Is his contract up? Or has he got one more?
So I think they extended him.
They did too, actually.
Jury.
Because there was an option on their deal.
A couple of others they've extended for a year.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
So it's him. Right now we've got Hamish Free and Tristan Cherry and potentially
Coleman
CCJ.
Jones.
But
yeah, I actually think out of all those, Coleman Jones should be starting in the ruck. I
agree, mate.
You,
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with
I
you.
know.
Yeah.
I like you. I would prefer probably to recruit a ruckman than start Coleman Jones in the ruck, but I don't hate Coleman Jones as a ruckman. He's a much better mark than Jerry. He's more mobile. Not saying he is mobile.
He has better skills than
He's a better
Jerry as well.
footballer than Jerry.
He has natural
in the modern game,
footballing
you don't
ability.
need a big bruising ruckman.
Yeah.
It's just not what the game needs these days. And you've seen it with guys like that not really being in the league much anymore. You know, your Tim Englishes, you know, Gawn was before his time, all that sort of stuff. Your Brodie Grundys and things like that.
Yep.
Those ruckmen are the ones that do really well. I mean, like Big O for the Lions. You know, he is that big bruising ruckman, but he's got skills as well, and he can make up for it. So that's the sort of guy I would love to get as well. But obviously, we're not going to get him. But like that sort of prototype ruckman. If Coleman Jones could put on some kegs and just take one step in his ability, I'd be probably putting him into that role. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I think the ruck position is such an interesting position because, in my opinion, you don't need the best ruckman to win a premiership. You know, you look at
the Pies.
Yeah. They had Darcy Cameron and Mason Cox against Oscar, and I just don't believe you need the best ruckman. You need a reliable ruckman that's pretty decent overhead, and that's decent on the ground as well.
Yeah, not irrelevant when the ball hits the ground.
Yeah. So, look, it completely my answer to Scott Lycett completely depends on what they plan on doing with Coleman Jones. But
true.
It's a soft yes at the moment for 1 year.
I'll say a soft yes for a 1 year as well. You know, but like you said, it does depend. If you gave me Lycett or Coleman Jones as our ruckman, I'd probably pick Coleman Jones as the ruckman.
Same. And there's a guy at Port Adelaide that just got delisted, Bryn Teakle, who played a couple of games this year, who is relatively like touted, I guess.
Yeah.
But they have a fair few ruckman on their list at the moment.
It seems to be that way.
So
yeah, well, we'll talk about him soon.
Yeah.
Speaking of lists with positions that are clogged, the Gold Coast Suns have Chris Burgess.
Yeah.
Give me the rundown.
Yeah, so
Key forward, 27, 194 centimetres.
Yeah, so he won the VFL goal kicking this year.
Okay.
He tied it with Brodie McLaughlin, actually, who's also on our hit list.
Well, we can talk about both of them if you like, because we've got Brodie McLaughlin after that as well. How many key forwards do the Suns have?
Yeah, so they tied on 55 goals or something in the VFL this year. Chris Burgess, 27. He just can't break into the team, that Gold Coast team, because their forward line is pretty stacked. I believe Adelaide are really, really keen on Chris Burgess, but they're going to bring him over as a key defender.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just from what I've heard.
After he's just won the goal kicking.
Which is interesting. But I really do think North should be looking at one of those three
if you were going to
players.
Pick between Burgess, McLaughlin and Chol.
There's also Caleb Graham as well.
There is too. There is Caleb Graham. Oh my God, they've got so many.
They got
Caleb
depth.
Graham is listed as a key defender.
Yeah, so he's a key defender.
Okay.
So
let's stick with the forwards for a second then.
Yeah.
So out of Burgess and McLaughlin, Which one do you
Yeah,
think has more potential, or which one? Because they're what similar sort of age, 27, 25, 193, 194. I mean, McLaughlin looks like only 87 kilos, so he's very light framed compared to 97. Which one would you sort of pick?
Yeah, I only watched some of their footy this year, and I watched the VFL Grand Final. I thought McLaughlin was really, really good in the VFL Grand Final. He's pretty athletic, and he's got an eye for goal. So I would definitely take McLaughlin if we could get him
Over Burgess?
Yeah, and I think he's the right age to grow with our group as well. If he can play that key forward,
It's probably the lightest sort of key position player we've
Yeah,
read
I
out
don't-
here.
I don't-
Are you worried about that?
I
or-
don't think he's that. There's no way he's.
Okay.
80.
It says he's 87 kilos on the website.
Yeah,
but
I don't know about that. He looked bigger on TV. I don't know.
Okay.
He looked bigger on TV.
it's
I
fine,
don't know. But yeah, so yeah, I'd probably take Brodie McLaughlin.
Okay.
Yeah, and he could grow with our group.
Yeah.
And hit his peak at the right time for us. So I think he's out of contract this year as well.
Okay.
So I reckon North should probably be looking at someone like that to partner Larky.
Yeah. All right.
Because also that means Zerha gets
Well,
the
Zerha,
third
I've never
defender
seen
as well.
Zerha as a key
Yeah,
position
he's not a
player,
key
though.
position
I know he had
player.
to play that a lot over the last couple of years, but he's nowhere near a key position player. Offers too much more in different positions. So
Yeah. And I'd love for Cam Zerha to get the third best defender, not the second best every week. So, okay. I think he would be a very handy pickup.
Well, let's go to Caleb Graham then. Key defender, 23 years old, 194, 97 kilos.
Yeah.
A nice mustache as well.
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
like,
he
which would be
does.
good for the fans.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He played really well in the VFL Grand Final, and would definitely fill a spot in that key defensive post to play on that bigger forward in more of a lockdown type role for Caleb Graham. So, I definitely see him as a defensive option for sure. I don't know when he's contracted to, but I don't think he played any games this year.
It looks like on here what I've got, there's no games. Yeah.
So he could be a solid option.
What do you think you'd
for
have
us.
to give up roughly for a guy like that?
Oh,
In his, if a player, as an example with Brodie McLaughlin, if he's out of contract, if we sign him, do we still have to give the Gold Coast something, or is that only specific players on specific dollars?
I think the Gold Coast would have to delist him for us to get him as a delisted free agent.
I'm kind of confused when players are out of contract but
it
they're
is a
not
bit
delisted.
confusing. Yeah.
I don't really understand, why some players can sort of get signed if they're delisted, but if they're out of contract and not delisted, what do they do?
Yeah, it's a good
bit
question.
confusing.
It is confusing. I don't know whether it means he gets another deal at the Gold
I'll have to
Coast
look
for another
into-
year or
Yeah, I have to look into obviously depending on what Mackay gets, depends on the compensation we're given.
Yep.
Is there a number which under that you don't have to compensate?
potentially.
So I'd have to look into that. I'm not 100% sure. For Caleb Graham, I mean, looks like the size, the age, and that sort of stuff that we need. Especially if he's like a key position sort of lockdown
For sure.
guy that you can stick on an old school, a Tex Walker, Tom Hawkins type.
Yeah.
I guess if he's sort of cheap like that, and probably more realistic than Tomlinson, probably
Yeah.
better than O'Brien,
Yep. for
bigger than
sure.
Cofield and Haynes, different sort of players.
Different sort of player. Yeah. So Caleb Graham is that lockdown defender, and I think he would be a good handy pickup for us. He would come pretty cheap, I think, too, in terms of a contract. So
Okay.
that could be one to look out for.
So yes, you'd be pretty happy to get him along.
Yeah. I'd probably put him. And I mean, I guess we are kind of forgetting the fact that we do have Griffin Logue on the list, and he'll be back, I guess, towards that last third of the season. And look, his start to his North Melbourne career wasn't ideal by any means, but he came off no preseason pretty much, and then did his knee. So I'm sure we're going to see the best of Griffin Logue when he gets healthy and fit.
All right. You've put Travis Boak on the list of players we should target.
Yeah, and that was purely it's almost not for a playing purpose, but just for a leadership standards purpose. I thought.
Do you think getting someone like that alongside having a Liam Shields is a good idea?
Yeah, and it's kind of very similar to that Liam Shields. I thought Liam Shields was so good for us this year. He was just a weapon. The way he goes about it, you can tell that every ball to him means life or death. And I loved the way he played this year. I thought he was such a great pickup, and he really clearly just sets the standard for intensity almost for our club. And my worry with Cunners, Zeeble, Hall and Goldie all going, we really lack
leadership,
some senior guys,
just experience in general.
And it's no look.
Is Jai? I mean, I know Shields is there, but who else is really experienced?
It's no, and I'm not. I like Luke McDonald.
Yeah,
he had a horrible year,
shocking year,
horrible, and I don't know.
I'd be backing him to bounce back.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's going to be.
I hope he does.
Yeah,
I hope he does.
Well, I'm not saying he's going to be one of our best players, and especially if we do get Stevens and Fishers and got Godas and Bergmans and things like that. Does he make it into the side in
exactly.
3-4 years time? I don't know, but
exactly.
I'd be backing him to come back and be at least better next year.
But now that those 4 guys have left, there's a massive gaping hole in our list.
Yeah.
For senior leadership,
1,000 games worth of experience.
Yeah, so. I'm just throwing names out there like a Travis Boak that he clearly wants to play on from what I've heard, and I don't believe Port Adelaide have a contract in front of him yet. So whether you look at a Travis Boak for a year just to help grow our group and set standards within the group, something like that might be worth a look.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
And he it wouldn't be at the expense of playing, hopefully anyway, a Tom Powell or a Will Phillips.
I guess it depends as well what happens in the draft. Like
100%.
Harley Reid, McKercher, Riley Sanders, those are the names that are always thrown around as midfielders. Would we want, Boak in there, sort of taking any time away from there? I don't think they'd play him, but then is Boak okay not to play? I guess
that would be the understanding though, that Travis, you're coming in, you may not. You may only play 4 games for the year, but your whole goal is to set standards within this group and get them hard.
Do you think there's any possibility of it happening though? I mean, this
probably
is more
not,
of a hypothetical.
No, but it's probably more it's not Travis Boak himself. It's more the idea of we severely lack that elder statesman.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So another player that these sort of players now are players that maybe from your knowledge you've suggested we could target. We haven't been linked to some of these guys yet though, just to point this out. Before anyone gets angry at me for going, we haven't been linked to this guy.
No. So those Gold Coast guys that we mentioned, like
I've heard Burgess. I've heard Burgess, definitely.
Burgess,
it's more like I haven't heard McLaughlin and Graham.
Yeah.
And Boak. But so from now on, these are the players that you've suggested. So if anyone doesn't like them...
also go easy on me, guys.
Absolutely roast him.
Don't roast me. But it's more the idea of Travis Boak.
For sure. Shannon Neal from the Cats.
Yeah, he's just a key forward that can't get in the team, essentially.
Forward or a ruckman? Because it says he's a ruck on the website.
He plays both, but he played mainly as a forward for Geelong. He's a Perth boy as well, and he is just starved of opportunity within that Geelong forward line.
You probably think Tom Hawkins has probably got only one more year left.
So maybe they're saving him for that. But, it's hard.
The right sort of player, like 203 centimetres, 100 kilos, 21 years old.
And he's athletic. Like he's an athletic kid. And you got to be as a club, you got to be on this early.
Yeah.
You can't just wait for people to become available. You got to prize them out.
You got to go and get people.
Yeah, you got to lure them out. So, it's a dog eat dog world. Yeah. Like Geelong can go get stuffed. We're trying to get these players
we
into
can
our
train
team.
them for all the talent they have.
Exactly. Yeah. So, look, it's just a name. Like it's these are the sort of players
we need to think about.
It could be a good option to partner Larky. we definitely need more depth within
Yeah.
that space. And someone that I didn't
Just key positions in general.
yeah, and someone that I didn't list down in the forward line was a guy that played in our VFL team, Tyler Sellers.
How tall is he?
Yeah,
know?
I don't. He'd be 6'3", 6'4".
Okay.
He had a great season, and I don't know whether it's worth giving him a rookie contract, something like that.
I'd rather him
thought-
get a rookie contract than a Marnie or someone like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, Aidan Bonner maybe. I know you love Aidan Bonner.
I don't
number
mind
one
Aidan
Aidan
Bonner.
Bonner fan.
I don't mind. Aidan Bonner.
Sorry guys, I didn't know I was getting the number one Aidan Bonner stan on the podcast. If I knew this before, we wouldn't have done it. But here we are.
Yeah, someone like Tyler Sellers, you know, we know what he brings as well because he's at the club. So
Yeah, for sure.
again, another option there for sure.
So your man that we mentioned before,
Yep.
Bryn Teakle. Brian?
Yeah,
Brian?
Bryn.
Bryn.
Yeah,
What's with these names of these Gen Zers?
Bit of a different name, the old Bryn Teakle.
Ruckman, 23, 204 centimetre, 102 kegs. Not bad stats. 33.7 hitouts to advantage, which is above average. 32.3% hitouts won. 3.5 score involvements for a ruckman, which is pretty good. I mean, it's only 10.3 disposals, but it's a ruckman. He's a ruckman. It doesn't really matter. I mean, age and size and some of the stats suggest he would be a good pickup. Did you say he got delisted?
So he got delisted. So he played 4 games this year, and yeah, I think obviously you get him very cheap, and just a potential option as backup for whoever we choose to lead our ruck division. So
Would he be back up if it was him and Jerry, do you reckon?
who knows? I again with Jerry, I was just so disappointed in this year.
What do you think Teakle's sort of ground game is like, or is his distribution, possession? Is he got some sort of talent and skill there, or is he a big lumbering ruckman?
No, he's big. He's quite slight of frame though, so he does have a bit of kind of filling out to do. But no, I'd say he has a bit better football smarts than someone like a Jerry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that actually would be like, you know, like we said before, the ruckman maybe is a position you don't spend all your money on these days. And just sort of by the sound of it and the stats suggest that's someone I'd love to, honestly, I think would age profile size-wise, you know, fits the bill. So I'd be chucking him a little contract, couple of years, see what he can do.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd say yes to Teakle for sure.
But if we can get someone like a Sean Darcy,
Well, there's the next player.
that immediately.
There was a very weak link suggesting that North are interested in Sean Darcy about a month or so ago.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it got shut down very quickly.
Really?
Yes.
Damn.
But
It came up again this morning on Twitter though.
did it?
Yeah. So people are talking about Sean Darcy. I know Clarko was just over in WA. I don't know what he was doing in WA.
Scouting for Daniel Curtin.
Yeah, potentially just watching Daniel Curtin. But Sean Darcy is Victorian. He's from
His stats are fantastic.
he's
as
a
well.
monster.
Yeah.
I love Sean Darcy. He'd be our ruckman for the next, 5 to 8 years. He's not only
111 kegs too.
mate, he's a
big boy.
The guy's a monster, and he's a big unit. He's a bash and crash ruckman, but his tap work is unbelievable. Like he's got great tap work.
Yeah,
and
well, hitouts won 56.8%, which is elite. Hitouts to advantage, only average 28.3. Score involvements above average 5.4. Clearances above average. Contested possessions above average. Disposals above average.
Yep.
You know, he's very, very good. 25 years old as well.
Yeah.
Do you think we could do it? Is there any...
I think we can. I really do. I feel
Because
like
this is one that I feel like it's too good to be true.
Yeah.
But then I've heard other whispers of we're going for it.
and I think we'd be silly not to go for it because we're armed with first round picks.
What would you give up? Are we taking it that Fremantle would probably think they're in the doldrums and would need picks, or would we take it as in, they think they're going to bounce back next year and could dish them off a Tom Powell or something like that?
Fremantle gave up a lot to get Luke Jackson over. I want to say they gave up 2 first
He more
rounders.
plays forward now though, doesn't he? So they're not getting in each other's way.
there's thought that Luke Jackson has to play ruck and just be the standalone ruck.
Because Freo's got a couple of Taberner and there's another bloke up there, isn't there?
Yeah, they've got Jaya Miss as well, that young kid, but he's not.
Hasn't come on.
No, he was great this year, but
Okay.
he's not kind of that ruck. Like he wouldn't be a ruckman. But yeah, I feel like there's something brewing to get Sean Darcy. I just feel it.
It's
And
like that
he's-
Gettable podcast, and they said something, or there was a rumor like, North is a big fish will land at North Melbourne this offseason.
I think we have to. Like we have so many picks that we could definitely land someone like a Sean Darcy. I feel like, and you look, you'll have to pay overs to get
Absolutely.
someone like that out. But yeah, I think we have to go for someone.
Yeah.
That good. The other thing is he's really close mates with Griffin Logue and Zach Fisher. So
Darcy Tucker get on the phone
Darcy
too. You
Tucker
played with
as
him?
well. Cam
Yeah.
Zerhard, WA. So, but he travelled the US and stuff with Griffin Logue. So they're super close. So I just feel there's something brewing there. And I don't want to get too
inside
excited.
scoop.
I don't want to get too excited.
No,
I just
I know.
got a feeling that.
Yeah.
And can you
This is
imagine
like
Sean
my gut,
Darcy?
my gut feel about Chol as well.
Right.
Is like, this is kind of what I'm saying. Is like, I just got a gut feeling that we might get Chol and I think he can be good.
Right.
Maybe this is your gut feeling with Sean Darcy.
Yeah, because can you imagine Sean Darcy tapping it down to Wardlaw? Like
Yeah.
it's the most ridiculous.
LDU, yeah.
Sean Darcy's got great skills as well for a big guy.
He doesn't look fit as well, does
Mate,
he? He looks
yeah.
like he's got a barrel
Yeah.
about him as well, but he's good. Yeah,
He also basically did his ruck apprenticeship under Aaron Sandilands.
Sandilands,
So
yeah.
he's got just so many tools and
stop
weapons.
exciting me.
Mate, I'm pumped. I don't want to believe it yet, but it's something we should. I'm sure that the club has asked the question at the very least.
Oh, they better have. I'll tweet Sonia and be like, "Oi, I've got Twitter now, by the way. I should probably have told everybody
Yeah,
that."
tweet at Sonia. Tweet at who's the other? Troy Makepeace.
Troy Makepeace.
He's pretty
Yeah.
active on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll get
Tweet
yeah.
at Marnie.
Yeah,
to
Marnie
get
will be able to
involved.
get her. She's got connections to Perth. I'm sure she
Kane
doesn't wanna
Corns,
bring
someone
up.
like that.
Yeah, Kane Corns. We'll get Kane
The Corn
Corns.
Man,
Yeah.
yeah.
we should get Kane Corns in as a part-time coaching role at North, I reckon.
Oh my god.
Get him well, Josh Gibson's just left, so Kane Corns our defensive
Yep.
coach. You reckon we could employ him?
Ice bath coach.
Could be. Yeah, well, the ice bars will be swiftly deconstructed from the the club rooms, I reckon.
How did Horn Francis poll 16, whatever it was?
3 votes after 13 touches.
That was-
4 turnovers and 3 clangers.
Oh my god.
Look, let's not
Kills
get into
me.
that
Anyway,
right now. That's another dark
yeah,
hole to
so-
go down.
Yeah, I think
Obviously, yes to Sean Darcy.
massive yes.
Massive yes.
He's one of the best ruckmen in the comp. He could definitely make an All-Australian team.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh,
He's
God.
strong too. Like
Well, you're
strong,
getting me all excited, mate.
good
Like,
overhead.
Oh,
Love that guy.
God, a dream. I'm going to have dreams about
We're gonna
Sean
have the
Darcy
whole.
tonight.
We're gonna have the whole half the Freo team in our as our starting.
As long as they're the
lineup.
good ones and not the bad
Yeah,
ones. Another one you've suggested here, James Stewart, key defender from the Bombers.
Yep. Just another delisted key defender. Comes cheap.
Yep.
Just a defensive option.
Would you rather him or a Tim O'Brien?
Him?
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think he played this year.
No, he didn't. He got delisted and then came out and said he wants to play on. Could be a good option for a year just to
199 centimetres and 99 kilos,
Yeah.
so he's got the size.
and usually plays on that big key forward.
Has he? When you've seen him play, does he look like he's a fairly solid player? Would we get something from him, or you think it's a bit of a
Stopgap?
yeah?
Yeah, more of a
It's like a
stopgap.
Josh Walker sort of signing.
I forgot we had Josh Walker for a
I would-
second. He would be pretty
I
handy
would
right
take
now, actually.
Josh Walker back.
He would have
I
been perfect right now, Josh Walker. I think he's playing golf or something full time now.
Golf.
Yeah, James Stewart would just be a stopgap until we can get a Griffin Logue. And I assume, just touching on the draft, I seriously doubt that anyone will be able to match West Coast's,
Yeah.
what they want for pick one. So I assume we have to take a Daniel Curtin.
I think even if Harley Reid's on the board, I would personally be taking a.
Would ya?
Yep. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Not even a question for me.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm taking Harley Reid all day. I love.
I kind of want to debate it now, but it's not a draft episode. I need to save these spicy takes. But now I want to talk about it. Quickly, just give me one sentence. Why Reid over Curtin?
I think it's purely out of spite, to be honest. After the Horn Francis thing, like we
got
need
so many
that.
midfielders,
We need that blonde, explosive midfielder.
We need someone handsome to put on the front of the calendars.
I watched.
That's what Charlie Combin's for.
Yeah, I watched him. He played.
Robbie Tarrant was also handsome.
Oh,
by
mate.
the way. Anyway, sorry.
My fiance loved Robbie
Lucky
Tarrant.
that they delisted him just for the sake of your relationship.
Oh my god, yeah. I watched him play VFL for the Bombers against Southport up there, and absolutely just
James Stewart.
Harley Reid.
Oh, Harley Reid. Sorry, yeah.
And he just dominated, and that's when I made my mind up that we need to take this guy.
Yeah, look. I
know what you mean, though. Like, I mean,
I'm more after like positional fits.
Yeah,
I think that's so much more important this draft. But once again, I'm not going to be like, oh, we got Harley Reid. Oh, I'm so mad. I'm not going to be like that. But I don't know. LDU, Wardlaw, Sheasel could arguably go in there. You know, Taron Thomas, Will Phillips, Jai Simpkin, Tom Powell, Hugh Greenwood, Zerha rotating through there. That's so many midfielders.
A lot of midfielders. And
Shields will go in there sometimes.
And
if Dylan Steele was Zach Fisher wants midfield minutes, like this is so many of them.
So many. And
if we're trading like a Tom Powell, like I think, and I've said this before on the podcast, like I reckon Tom Powell used this man in a trade to get a keeper, to get a Chol or somebody like that, because not that I don't like Tom Powell, but a midfield is so deep, and I think basically all the other midfielders are better than Tom Powell. I don't not rate Tom Powell, but I haven't really seen him have a game where I'm like, wow. You know, I know he kicked a couple of goals at the end of, was it the Bombers game or the Saints game or something? And he's had decent games. He's a good, solid player, but he's just not getting in the midfield over any of those guys.
Yeah, I've heard rumours about Powell wanting to go home to South Australia as well, but me and my brother talk about this stuff all the time because he's just as much of a North Nuffy as I am. We both rate Tom Powell above Will Phillips. I don't. It's not that I don't like Will Phillips. I like him.
I think the jury's out on him a little bit too. I think he had good patches. Yeah.
Patches.
But for me, those two, you know, you need to have a big year next year. And I'd still take Phillips over Powell, but it's not by much.
Yeah.
I'd say we have to be getting at least one midfielder in this draft. If it's not Harley Reid,
it'll be McKercher. We'll grab McKercher for sure.
Yeah, I'd probably rather take Sanders over McKercher.
Really? No.
I just think the lingua, like Tassie, I feel like this guy's going to stay at the club, and I think that we're missing. Is McKercher as much of an inside guy as Sanders is?
No, he's more of kind of a Zach Merritt type player. So he's very good on the outside. I feel like we've got these, like Wardlaw inside and out. LDU, I'd actually say, is probably better outside than in. Taron Thomas outside, strictly outside. Yep.
I feel like Riley Sanders taken over that Cunnington type role. I mean, Hugh Greenwood can get in and do it, but I don't know. Anyway, this is another draft episode. We're going down a rabbit hole.
And I think just on, there are rumours about Tom Powell potentially wanting to go home to South Australia. So that could be looked at because we do have so much midfield depth. Yeah. The other one, and I know it got shut down, but like the rumours don't stop with Taron Thomas. And
I know. Well, look, I know. Are you talking about getting traded before the season? Okay, because his agent did come out and say he's going to stay.
And they keep going though. These rumours keep coming. And
I feel like that's just the machine of people. Because how many people would have seen the headline saying Taron's going to stay? Probably not many.
Yeah.
So people just know.
Potentially.
It's like everybody who comes into the barbershop and talks about Taron Thomas is talking about his off-field and how he's a troublemaker. It's like, this was so long ago. And the dude just had an amazing back half of the season.
Yeah, his last 6 games, I want to say he was
are we not talking
top 5 rated in the league.
In the league, yeah.
Next year is his last year on his contract, and
you need to put a big. I understand the off-field stuff, but you need to put a massive deal in front of him.
He's going to have a massive year next year because he knows that it's a contract year. Yeah. So if you play well this year, you're getting a big contract, and he's already on a massive one. He's on like 700 a year, but next year's a massive year for Taron Thomas. And I think in the last 6 games, he showed that
he's worth
every cent of that.
Yeah.
And we need to hold on to
I'm willing
Taron
to.
Thomas.
I'm also willing to bet on him as a person, and this
I
might
hope
come
so.
back to haunt me as
Yeah,
well.
I
And
hope so.
I get that, but I think you've got to have this sort of attitude. Is he's done the work? He came back. He wasn't gifted a spot in the side. He
No.
worked and came back into it, and he showed his sort of ability on the field as well. So I think you need to back him in. Yeah, his body language sometimes and some things he says and does maybe aren't the most convincing, but at the end of the day, he played amazing for us, and I think you need to back him in on and off the field.
and on his body language, that was a really, really hard time for Taron. His grandma had
And he was
just
young. This
passed
happened when
as
he was
well,
like
and
20 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
apparently the allegations and everything that he faced were a couple of years ago
Right.
anyway. So
Right.
this is all to a 20 and 21-year-old kid,
he's
basically.
Got,
So,
he's got a lot of
Clarkson is there now to be able to
put his arms around him
Exactly.
and hopefully help him grow as a person on and off the
Yep.
field.
And I know he's very passionate about the Indigenous side of things and Simpkin being Indigenous himself.
Yep.
And I think Simpkin's a great leader.
Same.
Hopefully he can have that stability with those guys, know he's supported. And I don't know, I'm willing to back him in.
Yeah. No, so am I. So, like, hopefully we can hang on to him, but and hopefully Mackay is the only
Yeah.
person we lose. And
Goldie.
Goldie. But just on Mackay, if the deal that he gets doesn't trigger band 1 compensation, I'm matching that. I'm matching that deal.
Well, Clarkson's come out and said
Yeah.
they're going to do that anyway.
Yeah. And that's
The
how
only
they
reason
should.
I have faith in this now is because Clarko's there. And I said this last podcast is I would be terrified going into this off season. I would have no hope
Yeah.
on the earth about North Melbourne if Clarkson wasn't there to steer the ship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because Clarkson isn't going to get pushed around. So, look, I'll back in what's happening, and I'm very excited. But
Same. I'm excited for
what it could be.
and Xavier
Clark.
Clark's a massive get.
Yes. Do you know much about him?
Well, he coached the NT Thunder to a premiership, and,
I heard
and he's
that.
really highly regarded at Richmond.
Forward line coach.
and
for
he
Richmond,
was part of the Richmond.
the premiership years.
Yeah, but also he interviewed for the Richmond role.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'm excited that we've finally got rid of Gavin Brown.
Oh, Gavin Brown. Yeah.
He'd been there for too long. And
Yeah, Gavin Brown.
we
I'm
need-
actually kind of and as much as I like Ratton as a person, I just don't think Ratton is the best coach. I don't think his heart's in it. I don't think his head's in it anymore. So I'm kind of happy that Ratton did move on as well. I know it's hard because we all like him. It seems like a
good
nice guy.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm a nice guy, but I probably couldn't coach.
Yeah. It hurt me a little bit to see him move on
Yeah,
so
oh, look,
quickly to bloody
yeah.
Hawthorn. But
But he's not coaching Hawthorn, is he? It's some sort of administration
yeah.
role or something.
Yeah.
All right, let's fire through the last two really quickly. Dougal Howard from
Yeah.
the Saints.
I believe his St Kilda have put him
I think
as available.
Yeah.
He would be in the kind of Tim O'Brien.
Do you reckon? I mean, his stats suggest he's better than that. I mean, spoils 7.2 above average, 101 contests 3.2 above average. Other than that, the stats are kind of average. I guess intercept marks 2.1, which is
Yeah.
league average. Intercept possession 6.1 league average. 199 centimetre, 27-year-old, 94 kilos. I don't know. Seems
could-
okay from stats, but
Could be a good option. He is a weird one at St Kilda. They preferred Zane Cordy over him in the key defensive role. So yeah, he's been kind of shut out of
would
that
you
role.
rather a Dougal Howard over like a James Stewart or a Caleb Graham, something like that?
I'd take him over James Stewart and Tim O'Brien for sure.
Yeah.
I think Caleb Graham, similar to Brodie McLaughlin, like he just hasn't.
Higher ceiling?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
just hasn't been given the opportunity yet.
Yeah.
But I think with Dougal Howard, you know what you're going to get because he's played a lot of AFL footy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, someone like him or even, the next guy, Tom Cleary, someone like that that's played a lot of AFL footy that can just hold down a spot for, a season or two until we develop a Daniel Curtin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's basically the list. We're done.
There you go.
I don't know how long this has gone for so far. I think it's a long one. But
Any parting shots for my boy Flynn Perez and Aiden Bonner?
your Flynn Perez, your boy too.
Yeah, so I ran into him at the game once, and he was the nicest guy. Like,
Yeah,
I know that. Like, okay, footy.
I don't want anyone to be delisted.
Yeah, it's so hard
because
to
of
not,
their personalities. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And this is the thing. I find it very easy to separate the person and the player.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Clearly. Yeah. So, you know, there's like Ratton. I'm glad Ratton's gone. I thought Ratton was awful.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the little spurt he gave us when he came in. This new coach bounce, a few weeks of playing well, no wins, and then it went back in the bin very quickly.
Yep.
Is Ratton the nicest bloke ever? Probably. But, you know, David Noble was probably the nicest bloke ever, and look how that turned out. You get someone who's a bit more hard-hitting like Clarko, and we've got a lot more faith, don't we? Like, I don't know. Flynn Perez...
He kicked a great goal against. You remember the goal this year against Geelong?
Yeah, I know, but we've all kicked a great goal before, mate.
We have, yeah.
You know, Kane Turner kicked the first against the Eagles, and everyone got set off. Aiden Core smacked one from outside 50.
Yeah, yeah.
Off a Kane Turner overlapping handball.
How good was that?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
What a duo.
You know what sucks now?
That's peanut butter and jelly right there. That's Kane Turner and Aiden Core.
The problem I've got now is anytime Aiden Core does anything like that, I get bombarded with messages because I'm the Aiden Core guy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when Jerry does something one day maybe as well, I'll get bombarded. People are more on my side with Jerry now than they are Aiden Core. Marnie loves Aiden Core, and that's why I'm considering never letting her back on the podcast ever again. Your name's now New Marnie, by the way.
Because of Perez
Just because of her love for Aiden Core right now, to be honest.
I just feel with Aiden Bonner...
I'm joking, Marnie. I love you. You're coming back on, please.
With Aiden Bonner, though, he just gets the worst assignments of all time. Like Griffin Logue just does his knee, and then we're playing Carlton, and then he has to play on Harry Mackay, and he's my height.
Yeah.
I'm like, poor Aiden Bonner.
He wasn't even good in the VFL though, was he? Like, look, Flynn Perez, 2 knee recos or ACLs, was it?
No, he had 2. He had a reco in his draft year, and then did an ACL. Yeah.
And I completely sympathise with that. I know it's very, very tough. Never showed me anything that he was a capable footballer at AFL level. Not quick. I went down to the Port Adelaide North Melbourne game in Hobart and watched him play.
Okay.
He was awful.
Yeah, he did that. I remember that turnover.
Yeah. Right, I was sitting right in front of him.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Can't kick, not quick, not good decision making, slightly built. Not for me. Like Lockie Young's the same. Like Lockie Young, I'd prefer Lockie Young over Flynn Perez, and that's not a high bar. But, you know, Aiden Bonner, undersized, not strong. Once again, seems like one of these guys that running off half back might have a little bit of ability, but in a one-on-one contest, I back him to get beat every single time. The only thing I said at the start of the year was if he could play that Josh Gibson third man up sort of role, maybe he could do something, but even then he couldn't. So I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, that's all right. That's all right. That's okay. We're allowed to disagree.
Aiden Bonner's your boy, but
I remember Bonner doing a really good job on Dangerfield. Like when Dangerfield was they were playing Dangerfield deep, and Bonner just blanketed him. So the Bonner blanket, as they call it. But
so Bonner's going to be our lockdown, our Finn McGuinness. Is that what you're trying to say?
But he could be.
So what you're saying is Bonner in a midfield
He's a bit like
lockdown
bit like a Kyron Hayden.
Ryan Crowley.
Do you remember Kyron Hayden?
Yes, yeah.
Very
Kyron
athletic.
Hayden.
I believe he had I believe Kyron Hayden had the record at the draft combine for running vertical leap.
That's great. Well, look at his footy
record.
record.
These are the type of things that I bring to the podcast, people. So
fantastic, So your best 22 next year is going to get redrafting Kyron Hayden. Aiden Bonner playing every game.
Flynn Perez,
and in the midfield,
all my crew.
Fantastic.
But yeah, no, thanks for having me.
No, it's fine. It'll be the last time you're on after this. That's for sure. After all those awful takes at the end. No, you'll be back on for sure. When hopefully any more rumors and things will get you on for your expertise. And, when trades do happen or signings do happen, we'll try and get a podcast up ASAP, sort of analysing the trade, where they fit, their stats, how they're going to fit with North positionally and statistically and all that sort of stuff. So ready that Nuffy brain of yours.
Yeah, in all seriousness, it's might be the biggest trade period for us
I think
in our
it
history
will be
because
we've
got so much armed, ready to go.
We've got the war chest is back.
Yeah, we've finally got a war chest of picks, not money, but
thanks, Aiden Core.
Yeah, so this could really. Set our club up for the next 10 years. So
Absolutely.
we got to make good choices and be brave. I think if you be brave, you'll be fine. So welcome, hopefully, Sean Darcy,
to Dylan Stevens, Zach
to
Fisher,
North Melbourne. You can take
Mabior Chol.
Sean. You can take Jack Marnie's number one, the famous number one.
What are your thoughts on Jack Marnie then?
That draft was a bit of a mare for us.
Yeah.
One of many. I just didn't quite see what they saw in him. I don't, because he's not.
He's another player like a Perez for me that I haven't seen anything from. It's one of those ones, the Aiden Core paradox, I think I called it, where if he sets the bar so low and he plays above average for his bar, everyone thinks he's good now. And a guy like Jack Zeeble, who's plays really well and then plays average because it's below his high bar, is seen as being bad. And I just think that's a weird place to be in. And I find it very easy to be like, well, Aiden Core being good isn't better on average than Jack Zeeble being bad.
Yeah. I think just for all the Jack Zeeble haters out there,
cop this.
He was pretty much, for the first half of this season, he was almost all Australian. Like he was that good.
He was
honestly
fantastic.
so good. Yeah. Maybe, okay, not the first half, but like first 6 games, he was
If he didn't kick those balls out of bounds against the Bombers, there's no way people are saying that he's not.
He could have played on, to be honest.
Yep, absolutely. Goldie and Zeeb should have got a 1-year deal. I know Goldie's going because he probably got offered 2 somewhere. But I reckon it's a massive, massive loss getting rid of Zeeble. Well, Zeeble retiring at the for our back line. That's why Nick Haynes or something like that would be really crucial.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Anyway, we'll discuss this more a different time.
Yes.
Thank you for listening, everybody, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I have Twitter or X.
Yeah, I'll follow you now.
Thank you. It's so difficult. I don't know what I'm doing at all with it. I've never used it in my life, but at Further North Pod on Twitter or X. What should I call it? Should I call it Twitter or X?
I think Twitter.
Or should I get with the times? I've only joined since it's been X, so maybe I just know it as X.
I think Twitter.
Okay, I'll say Twitter. At Further North Pod on Twitter and Instagram, Further North Podcast on Facebook. I'm setting up something for next season for you guys to be able to send me voice messages after the games.
Nice.
So I'm going to get a link sorted. You can just log in through your Spotify account and you can send me 10, 15, 20-second voicemails from your after-game reactions. That's going to be a thing I'm going to try and implement next year as well.
After losses or wins?
Both.
Or both?
I just want funny things. I want some Arsenal Fan TV style reactions after games.
Nice.
I want everyone saying blood clot and all that sort of stuff like Troops used to say on the on the show. This is descending into chaos. Lots of stuff coming. Follow the socials. More podcasts will be out very, very soon. I'm going to still try and do weekly ones unless there's completely dead sort of air for North Melbourne. I won't do anything. But thank you for listening, and we will talk to you guys again soon.
Thanks, guys.